G'day, ZiggyD here, and in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my answer to one of the most frequently asked questions on my stream. What should I gamble for as a demon hunter? Now, I thought the list wasn't that big initially, but I've actually spent half an hour today sort of coming up with all of the items I can that I think are really worth gambling for, and then ordering them, and I was actually surprised. There's actually quite a lot of really good legendaries you can gamble for. I've got like almost a full page of stuff here. So I'm going to be going through these in the order that I think are most economic to gamble for and most valuable for your character's progression. So there's a few things to consider when gambling. First is what items can actually be obtained from gambling. Torment only set legendaries cannot, so things like Natalia's and Marauder's set cannot be obtained from gambling, as well as the Heraldric bounty cash items can also not be obtained. So things like best in slot items like Pride's Fall can't actually be obtained through gambling. So there's no point gambling for that slot. You just want to go for the bounties unless there's another item you want to go for to replace. But I don't think there's really too many of those. There's also the fact that there's different costs. You'll see a lot of this stuff costs 5, trinkets cost 10 and 20 for amulets, and one-handed weapons cost 15, two-handed weapons cost 15. So there's a few different things to consider there. What actually items are available, how many good items there are for that slot, how much they cost, and whether you can actually obtain any good items from that slot as well. So, with all that in mind, here's my recommendations for what you should gamble for. The first slot is the mystery belt. Now, there's two different belts that are really good. I'd be very happy if I got either of these, and then there's a third belt that's pretty decent. So, the first belt, the number one belt that I think is best in slot for Demon Hunter, and is actually, obtainable through this, is the Harrington Waistguard. Now, this belt just straight up doubles your DPS whenever you click on a container. So this includes chests, bodies, weapon racks, coffins, sarcophaguses, anything like that that is blue clickable and can give you loot when you click it. So all of that stuff will basically double your damage for 10 seconds. It's a fantastic item, and it will get you into like 1 or 2 torments higher than what you're farming currently. So very nice stuff. If, however, on your quest to get a Harrington Waistguard, you accidentally get a Witching Hour, I'd still be pretty happy with that. Witching Hour is a really damn fine item. It has crit damage and attack speed on a belt slot. Very nice stuff. And then there's a third belt that's also pretty decent, but not very good for every build, and that's Thunder God's Vigor. I think this is a very nice belt. I got this earlier from gambling today, trying to get my Harrington Waistguard. And this one here has, 13 lightning damage, dexterity, vitality, bowler damage, which is perfect for a lightning build, and lightning resist, and then the actual lightning discharge effect, which is just very nice item, and this would also work fantastic on a monk as well if I reroll that skill. So very nice consolation prize, I guess. But there's 3 good belts for that, and one of those is a best in slot item, and they're also super cheap. So very nice first slot to gamble on. I'd gamble on first as a new Demon Hunter. Belts, that is. Second, I would consider to be gloves. Now, Magefist is a fantastic item, but it's the only really good thing. You can use any of the other legendaries if they simply roll crit chance, crit damage, main stat, and you're good to go. But Magefist has 5 primary stats, so this is so much damage. Look at this thing. I've got a trifecta pair here that's crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, dexterity, and fire skills deal more damage, and I can roll up to 20%. 5 primary stats, all damage stats on a glove pair here. So incredibly huge DPS boost there. So Magefist is a clear best in slot item for any fire damage monk, which is fire damage demon hunter, which is most of them at the moment, and it only costs 5 as well. So that's my number 2 spot there. Third spot is chest. Now, this comes with the provision that you should do this on a monk. You're going for the Cinder Coat, and when you're gambling on a Demon Hunter, you have a 50% chance of getting a chest, 50% chance of getting a cloak. Now, every cloak has a 0% chance of actually being a Cinder Coat. So, you need to level up a monk to 70 in order to gamble for Cinder Coat. You can do it on a Demon Hunter, but you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, wasting approximately 50% of your Bloodshards. So, do this on a monk, and just pray that you don't get a monk stat and then no dexterity, so you can't reroll it. But this is what I got from gambling on my monk. I got fire skills damage 18%, dexterity, vitality, 3 sockets, physical resistance, and then the resource cost reduction. Very, very nice item, and another best in slot item for a lot of Demon Hunters. So I rate that as my number 3 slot and one of your big build defining items. So it's a nice one to go for. Also only 5 Bloodshards. Now, the next slot is one that moves up in the Bloodshard cost, but I actually think there's a few good items there, and that is the Mystery Ring. Now, this is only 10, so it's twice the cost. But there's some really good items here. Firstly, Stone of Jordan is one of the primary one you're going to be going for. This is something that's usually paired with either Unity or Ring of Royal Grandeur. Now, Ring of Royal Grandeur cannot be gambled for. It can only be gotten from the Heraldric Caches from Act 1, I believe. But Stone of Jordan can be gambled, and it is a huge effective damage increase. As you can see, I got fire skills and elite damage on this, both on the same item, along with maximum discipline from a secondary. Fantastic ring and something you're going to be wearing for the rest of your Demon Hunter's life. So very nice stuff. Now, I also managed to snag a Unity, and this is also a fantastic item. And some Demon Hunters are even saying in the higher difficulties, this is actually better than a Ring of Royal Grandeur, depending on your gearing situation. If you're trying to use like Marauders and Natalias and things like that, Unity may actually be better depending on your current setup. But it's another really good, potentially best in slot item. Elite damage, crit chance, crit damage, dexterity. And then the secondary, all damage is split between, whereas if this item can actually be paired with a follower to basically reduce your damage very, very significantly. So both a very strong defensive and offensive item. So very nice stuff. You kind of want to get two of those so you can put one on your follower, but a very solid item all around. You can put the bad one on your follower, you can put the worst one on your follower, keep the good one for yourself. But that's probably my second slot, and if you do happen to get one of the other legendary rings that rolls okay, then you've kind of got a nice consolation prize anyway. But otherwise, two kind of potentially best in slot items there on still a reasonably cheap slot. It's not 15, it's not 20. Now, I think the next slot after that does move up into the more expensive territory and the more difficult to gamble for. This is why it's further down the list, but there's some really nice items here, and that is the one-handed mystery weapons. Now, with the one-handers, you're going for the two Danetta's items. We have Danetta's Spite and Danetta's Revenge, and you'll want both of these. These are a best-in-slot item for farming Torments 1 through 4. These give you infinite Volt, essentially, and that improves your clear speed in those lower difficulties by a huge, huge margin. These are really good. I kind of am loathing the fact that eventually I'll probably want to switch to a Calamity so I can clear Torment 6 a bit more efficiently, but Danetta's before that is fantastic, absolutely amazing items. And then, as I mentioned, Calamity is the other item you want to gamble for. So there's actually 3 crossbows you can go for. Calamity is one of the best damage items in the game for a Demon Hunter, and is kind of mandatory if you're looking to farm Torment 6. So it's the third one. If you get any one of these 3, you're going to be in pretty good shape. So good stuff. Plenty of opportunities there. The only bad thing about this slot, and this is why it goes so far down the list in addition to the cost, is the fact that sometimes you'll get swords, axes, and clubs and other stuff you can't use. So when that happens, tough. Maybe you at least get a dexterity weapon that you can put on your monk or something like that. But otherwise, I think it's worth the gamble because the Danettas and Calamity are so good. Now, the final slot is the Amulet slot, and the reason this costs 20 Bloodshards, I've discovered, is because there are so many Amulets. Look at this massive list of Amulets just there. That's all Amulets right there. So the first one is Rakoff's Glass of Life. I think this is a best in slot item, potentially, for anyone using Reaper's Wraps on that Demon Hunter and Blood Vengeance. Enemies you kill have 3% additional chance to drop a health globe. Now, this doesn't sound like lots, but when you're killing a lot of trash mobs, that's a lot of extra health globes, and will mean more constant and more consistent cluster arrow spam. So I think this is a very nice item when paired with those Reaper's Wraps. Now, this one I've got here is terrible. Cold damage, dexterity, vitality, armor, no crit chance, no crit damage. The wrong element. There's not much I can do with this, but I just wanted to use it as a demonstration. I need to roll a good one of these eventually, and hopefully I can. Now, if in your quest for Rakoffs, or maybe you're just trying to get some good amulet, there's actually 5 more you can get, and they are, I'll just rattle these off quickly, but they'll be listed in the description below. Countess Julia's Cameo, Mara's Kaleidoscope, Talisman of Aranoch, Star of Azkarnarth, and the Xephirian Amulet. Now, each one of these makes you 100% resistant to a certain type of elemental damage. So, for example, Countess Julia's makes you immune to arcane damage, and then actually heals you for a portion of that arcane damage you would have taken. So each one of these do this for a different amulet, for a different element. Getting any of these means that when you encounter an elite that does that type of damage, so let's say you get the poison one, and you encounter an elite with Plagued, you stand in the Plagued and you get healed. It's like a regen boost for you. If you get one that if you've got the Countess Julia's and makes you heal from Arcane, you encounter Arcane lasers mob, you simply stand on the middle point of the lasers and they heal you instead of hurt you. It's fantastic. I had one of those in the beta and it's incredibly fun to get. You're like, when you get one of those elites, you're like, ha, I can't die against this elite, and you literally just stand there and face tank them. So very, very nice stuff there. Any one of those drops is going to be fantastic. And eventually, who knows, you may even want to get all of them and you can switch them out when you encounter elites with different elemental types. You're like, oh, this isn't a poison elite? Well, bam, there we go. Switch to my poison amulet. You can't hurt me anymore. Fantastic for both hardcore, softcore, and all that sort of jazz in between. So eventually I'll be going for this. The reason I leave it for last, though, is because it is an incredibly expensive slot to gamble for. And despite these all being very good legendaries, they're nothing really build defying. They're not like a Syndicate, they're not like a Magefist, they're not like Danettas, so that's why I put them last, but they're a very nice last thing to shoot for. Eventually, once you've got one of the other items in each of the other slots, then you can simply sink all of your blood shards into amulets, and that'll be my plan. Once I get my, once I get my Harrington Waistguard, I'll probably be going for that as well. So anyway, hopefully you guys have found this helpful. If you have any more items that you think would make it onto this list, or if you have any questions about the items, feel free to hit me up in the comments below. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.